Are you a failure? Every day we seem to ask that question, whether we know it or not. My life, probably within the last, I would say 5, 10 years, especially within the last couple, is going to be a product of that question, right? It's going to be a product of the idea, am I a failure? And it comes from deep within, right? It comes from, for me, a self-hate. I do believe that the product of what I have right now in my life, regardless of what you see, regardless of what I can make it out to be, is still a product of self-hate, right? The mistakes that I've made throughout my life, depending on what I've been doing, is all a product of self-hate, right? Your self-esteem is what helps you build the ability to feel confident in decisions you make. For me, am I a failure? The decisions that I've made regarding bad self-esteem from self-hate have almost made me evaluate my life as if maybe I am. But then the way I view myself and everybody else, and this goes for people who know me, and I mean truly know me, and some of you know exactly who you are. I don't believe in failure, right? At least that's what I teach. That's what I do. That's how I help people, right? How many of y'all have I maybe helped to get from something low to something higher? Always pushing, always driving. Even if you may not have seen the light at the end of the tunnel, I have seen the light for you because I just don't believe in failure. But then sometimes you contradict that, right? And you view yourself as a failure, right? The way that you strive for success in such a manner that you basically are self-harming yourself. You're self-destructing everything good that you're building along the way to try to get this idea of success, right? And it really, after you've already obtained a level and you go to the next level and you go to the next level, you honestly start to look at yourself as a failure because you're not actually evaluating every level you're at. You're not evaluating that you're at this level, you have gained, you are loved, you feel confident in that specific piece of that level, and yet you look for the next, which means you strive for the next thing, and you keep viewing yourself over and over and over again as a failure because you're like, well, I'm not obtaining, when you didn't take a step back to look at where you've been, what levels you've gained in your life, people you may have gained, people you may have lost for the good. When you evaluate things in your life that are good and bad, you can view them as successes or failures, right? Some people you've had in your life, you've had them for a short time. You might have messed things up and they've left, but they taught you a lesson. Some people in your life have been around for a lot longer than you wanted them to be. And they just kept slowly taking and taking and taking until they were gone and you were left with not a lot. Was it a failure? Did you fail yourself? That's a really good question. Did you fail them? Or did you fail other people that were in your life? And it's all within context of however you might be living your life. I always touch a lot on, the sexualization of stuff or, relationships and even like success in careers. For me, that's the easiest thing that I can talk about because that's probably where the most experience I have with things is, right? Any layer of those, I've probably gone above and beyond and probably messed up more things than I can even remember, right? Messing them up usually came from striving to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, keeping a blind eye to everything that I've had, and then looking at myself like, well, why am I so successful, but everything is gone? Why is everything so down? Why is everything so depressive? Why is everything leaving? Am I failing? Am I failing or am I succeeding? I don't understand. And that's a really good question. That is the question. This whole time, that's the question. Are you a failure? The, the way that I've always taught people who were in my life about achieving, and I've touched on this before, was like the 5-year plan. I believed that if you could see something and achieve it in 5 years, then that was what was meant for you, right? And there was things in my life, and right now, it's 2025, all right? And I can say that in the 5-year plan, to this date right now, have I lost more things from my 5-year plan than I've gained? I would have to say probably, right? Now, I haven't gone all the way through the 5th year to know what is supposed to be back, but every other year of my life that I've followed a 5-year and followed up, I have at least been able to achieve that. And it's really hard to think about because 5 years is a long time. 5 years is a long time to doubt yourself. 5 years is a long time to lose, learn lessons, try to gain back, maybe lost again. 5 years is a long time. And if you don't hit the mark on everything in 5 years, have you failed? I don't believe that you failed. And the more that I look at it, I think that you just needed more time. We as people, man, and I'm so guilty of this, have tried to control every ounce of my life with a false sense of it. I have not done the things that I was supposed to do. I have not lived the way that I was supposed to live. I have lived in, man, a lot of bad ways, man, a lot of bad choices. And I can't say that I didn't know that I was doing them. I did. It doesn't matter of what you think you were doing. It doesn't matter of your reasons. It doesn't matter of what types of false tales you've told yourself to live a certain way, right? But if you failed, then you haven't made progression. And progression towards perfection that you will not obtain is still progression. You can try to achieve perfection. It's a good idea. Perfection in living the right way. Maybe you're religious, maybe you're not, and maybe you want to live the way that you should be with your faith, you know, God, Jesus, anything you want, you can do that, right? And progression, it was funny to me that I used to think I could look back on my life and look at my progression to know my failures and successes. And sometimes they started to get skewed, right? Because as you wanted to control the timeline, you realize that you can't control that timeline. You can't control what is going on in your life. You think you can. Listen, you can love the greatest things you've ever loved. You can mess it up and think that because you love it with every ounce of your heart, and I mean every ounce of your soul and heart, that the Lord knows what you love and don't love, and He knows the pure love you have. If you mess something up, you can't control what it does. Everything is a cause and effect, right? Every decision you make has an effect. And if you make decisions relating to bad self-esteem and self-hate, you will start to fail yourself in regard of stripping yourself of everything that was good, stripping yourself of successes that you've had. Failure is if you just gave up, right? So when you look at the progressions of your life, I've realized that I started to do this probably a few years ago. I started to journal a lot of things that were going on. And the way that I journaled was, and I have pages upon pages in this is the second one, you know, was to write letters. Doesn't matter who you write them to. You can write them to yourself. You can write them to, you know, the Lord if you want. You can write them to your parents, a person, a friend. You can write them to nobody. You can make up somebody to write them to. For me, I do write letters in a certain way. I write them to a certain person because I believe that the way that I write this, someday, if it's ever read, will show every ounce of my soul that I was unable to verbalize but could write on paper. I do believe that writing on paper can really put down your heart and soul into something. You can type it all you want. You can say it. You can make videos, right? This though, man, this really, 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 really takes everything that you have and you've put into this day after day after day. And for me, man, that's how I've journaled. And if you read back through, that's how I can tell my progression. Now, some will say, well, did you progress yourself to a point of leaving or getting out of whatever was causing you, bad situations or detriment to your life? And the real question would be, did your feelings change? Did your emotions change? Did your behaviors change? Did your choices change? And the only way to know that, man, is to look back and really think about it, man. If I even look back at these videos, I can see that the progression of how I verbalize things to y'all or what I'm able to open up to has gotten so much better. Will I be able to pay this forward? I hope. But did I fail to get here? I don't think I failed, but I definitely stumbled. Boy, did I stumble. I think I stumbled down Mount Everest, right? I definitely stumbled down Mount Everest to get here. Because without that type of fall, without that type of stumble, man, I don't know if, I would have been able to make those choices. Do I believe that if people stay in your life, they can help you through it? I do. I do see that a lot of things talk about the lonely chapter in life. And a lot of people believe that when they hit the lonely chapter that they've failed themselves. I don't know if you failed yourself as if you just haven't had enough time to finish. You're not quite there yet. But if you don't make the changes, you won't change. If you don't make the way you think change, then you won't change. If you keep making the same mistakes but with a different person, or you keep making the same mistakes in a different job, you just keep switching, but you keep doing the same thing, you're never going to get to where you want to be. You're never going to get to the finish line. And really gaining a better self and a better understanding will tell you that the finish line isn't probably what you thought it was. For me, I can tell you right now, for my soul, I can tell you, a finish line for me would be pure happiness and peace. And I mean an inner peace with a family, right? For me, that's what I know. I've done everything else. I've done the athletics. I've done the jobs, the careers, success. I've saved 1,000 lives or more. I've done everything. I've done the material things. I've done it all. And the inner peace, man, the spiritual, the faith. It's the one thing I've only ever had it one time. One time, and I remember it. I remember sitting somewhere on some water, and I remember feeling it, that peace. And I knew that if I wanted that peace, I would have to change my life. And I didn't. I didn't change my life. I started to fall into that. And anybody else would say, well, you failed. That's why you didn't get there. No, made the wrong decisions. I made mistakes. I've made penance for my mistakes. I've done everything I could. I've tried to change every bit about me. And sometimes you're always going to be reminded of those mistakes. Is it fair? No. Should you be? I don't know. But I think when you look back on everything, you think, well, I needed more time to kind of perfect the progression of myself. So to say, are you a failure? I think is detrimental to what your goal is in life. Don't think that way, man. Say that, hey, I didn't gain it just yet. A little bit more time, a little bit more effort. And I know sometimes the effort and the time you put in, man, and I can get emotional over this, is so hard, man. I look at myself and I'm 36. Just turned 36, man. Hell, I thought by now I'd be like everybody else. Then you realize that your timeline is not like everybody else. That's the thing you can't control. And if that's what you gauge yourself off successes and failures, then you're always going to look at yourself like a failure, because you can't control time. Time is just always going to go. What you do in that time, the decisions you make within that time make a difference. You can wish and wish and wish and wish, man. You can wish every day, but you're never, ever going to gain back. You spend time. You don't spend money. You spend time every day trying to be a better person, trying to be a better you, or being a worse you. You spend the same amount of time. So why not spend that time on trying to be a better you? It's not failure. It's time needed. You didn't get there just yet. But if you keep pushing, you find a way to judge your progression, you do whatever needs to be done, I will promise you that you will gain it. You will gain something. Even if it's self-enlightenment, man, that's more than most people ever achieve. Hell, that was more than I had for a long time. But don't make the same mistakes every day. Remember, you won't change if you don't make the change, okay? So just stay after it. Keep steady pressure. One foot in front of the other, man. And someday I hope that every single one of you gain everything that you ever wanted and everything that you needed. Keep at it.